All right. Okay. Vinaka everybody. We'll make a start now, and I would like to take this time to thank our guest for today, Mr. Dennis Marita, joining us from the beautiful Solomon Islands in the capital city of Honiara. And we're so glad that we have some of our friends joining in already. There will be others joining in shortly. And I've also live streamed it too on my Talano with Dr. T page. So there will be others who will be connecting in online. So on behalf of all of us, Mr. Dennis Marita, Vinaka thank you so much for taking your time away from your busy schedule. I know you have the meetings before this and also a couple of meetings after this, but just for you to be with us for 20, 25 or half an hour is amazing. We are really blessed for that. So for those who've been following my page, I normally play a song to wait for the others to join in. And so, since you're from the Solomon Islands, we have decided to play a wonderful song from the well-known Shazi, a very well-known singer from the Solomons. I listen to his song most of the time, and also here in California when I'm teaching topics from different parts of the islands. I'll always play songs that will involve the island nation that I'll be talking about. So last week I played this particular song. So I will be playing it for us for today and hope that you will enjoy it. And this time I will have the sound shared because I know last week I played the song for Kaitip in Vanuatu and I forgot to have the music on or the sound on. So here we are. Hope you will enjoy it. Vinaka Vakalevu, everybody welcome. Welcome to this Talono session.
Yes, yeah, para. Swazimania. One time. Protein G.
It's a way.
Yeah.
Today, my best if I am.
Salim Jolia.
Here I play. If I finish, and no more, just
Want him now. How about me, Sabe, you alright? Making me ting on you. Hey, Lewa, you alright? Walking want him now. How about
mole yo fa fine te malamare yo haine e takasa ere manga mafine e hiwaine sa Sa ere manga mafine e hiwaine sa
Vinaka Shazi for that beautiful song, and I'm sure it has taken us all the way to the beautiful Solomon Islands. Vinaka Dennis, for being here with us. So for you joining in online, thank you as well for listening in. I can see some of my friends who I met at USP a few weeks ago. Kelera Wewalu, thank you for joining in online. And those of you joining in via Facebook Live, just type on the chat where you're connecting in from. Nimbula Vinaka. So today we have a guest speaker, Mr. Dennis Marita, who is the Director for Culture at the Ministry for Culture and Tourism in the Solomon Islands. So for those of you who've just joined us for the very first time, I've created this webinar for this fall semester here at the California State University in Los Angeles, where I'm currently teaching, to spotlight the heritage organizations in Melanesia. So for those of you who are listening in who may not be familiar with Melanesia, this was a name that was given to us. We didn't choose it, but it can be problematic on lots of levels. But it was a regional name that was given for countries that includes Fiji, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, New Caledonia, and Papua New Guinea. So last week we started off with Kaitip Kami, at the Vanuatu Cultural Center in Port Vila, sharing some of the work that he has been doing in the museum in Port Vila and sharing the repatriation work or rematriation work that is been taking place, particularly the return of the ancestral remains from New York to Port Vila. And so today we'll be traveling from Vanuatu last week now to the Solomon Islands. So right now I would like to give our full attention to Director of Culture, Mr. Dennis Marita, who will be sharing with us a very interesting story that is connected to where he's from originally. And also many of us are familiar or may have seen it online or in the news about the finding that has been officially made of this standalone largest coral, the largest standalone coral in the world. And it has been found in the Solomon Islands, in Makira, where Dennis is from. So he will be talking to us about it. And it's hot off the press, and we're so excited, Dennis, to have you join us because there's lots of other things that you will tell us in your journey to facilitate and host the team from National Geographic. So with all of us here in the Zoom room and those who are joining in online, welcome, Dennis Marita.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tarisi, for the warm welcome and also the introduction. Yes, so I'm Dennis Marita. The Director of Culture is just one of the hats that I'm wearing. There are two other hats, which probably will relate to my presentation in this webinar. I am also the traditional chief of the my tribe, which is called Po'ona Paina tribe of the Ulawa Island. Ulawa is one of the islands that is close to where is called the Three Sisters Islands, where the largest coral on the planet is found. And also the other hat is I'm the chairman of the Malaulalo Island Conservation and Tourism Association. So those are both, government and community responsibilities that I'm carrying on my shoulders as an individual. So thank you very much, Tarisi, for asking me, giving me this opportunity to come and share and talk about this incredible global discovery, I should say, which has certainly put not only our tiny dot island on the global scene and on the map, but as well as my province, home province of Makira Ulawa province, and the Solomon Islands as a country. So this is something that we are so excited about. My people they are just beginning to sort of like absorb this discovery and come to learn about this. The coral itself, I should say, it's something that has been there all of this time, hundreds of years, generations after generations, our people have been going there. They have paddled over it. They have dived down and get fish from that particular coral. But we don't know anything about that. This is going to be the biggest coral on the planet. So this is something that's sort of like our people are just beginning to comprehend and take on board and absorb. It's getting excited as as day by day we go along. Um, not only the country but the whole world is, they come to know about this. So this is something that is incredible for all of us. But anyway, Doctor, I would ask you to probably turn on the slideshow. Sorry, I'm not really familiar with using sharing on Zoom. So I sent this my PowerPoint presentation to Doctor to share it for on my behalf. So thank you very much for taking this on board.
No
All
worries.
right. Okay. So my presentation will be focused on this incredible finding, the biggest coral on the planet. I'm not a scientist and I'm not a um, you know, marine environmentalist or someone who knows about this. But I was fortunate to be part of the team that who discovered this incredible finding. So I was part of the National Geographic Pristine Seas expedition team. And there are two reasons why I was part of this team. One is that I'm part of the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, which is part of what we call the Ocean 12 in the government. So there are 12 ministries who came together to look at ways of conserving our oceans as part of our contribution to global conservation initiatives, as a means of mitigating and meeting the challenges of climate change and all this. And secondly, because I'm the resource owner of one of the areas that Pristine Seas was destined to go and do research in. So Three Sisters Islands in the Makira Ulawa province was one of the sites that was identified by the National Geographic Pristine Seas to go and do underwater marine surveys on the biodiversity of the islands. So that is why I was part of it. And in particular, I was, as I mentioned, a traditional chief of the Pona Pina tribe, who also owns one of the islands in the Three Sisters. And it happened to be Malaulalo Island, where the biggest coral on the planet was found. So just where we are, this is you can see the map of Solomon Islands, and the province that I come from is where there's the line, the circle that is placed around. You see Kirikira is where the provincial capital is. So that is Makira Ulawa province. And when you zoom down to the other square over there, you see the closer up look of the province. You have Makira Island there. And then you have the Three Sisters in the dotted circle. And for the Three Sisters are three islands. And the island that will be in focus in my presentation is the middle one. It's called Malaulala. That's the name of the island. So if we go to the next slide, you will see what was a satellite picture of the island. So you can see the three islands there, and Malaulalo is in the white circle. And then there's a much zoomed up close of the island itself. And you see where the red dot is, that's where the biggest coral on the planet is found. It's just offshore from the island. Now, if you go on Google Map on Google this time and you type Three Sisters Islands, or you type Malaulalo Island, it will take you automatically to the map on the extreme on the right, and it will also indicate where the world's largest coral is. So if you do that now, you will that's where it will automatically takes you straight to the island, and it will indicate where the biggest coral on the planet is found. And so that's on that one. I think if we go to the next slide, you will see an aerial view. This is taken from a drone by the Pristine Seas expedition team, and you will see how big the coral is. And if you look at you see there's the boat over there, where the divers, the dive boat, and then you see, I think, two divers on the water, and you can just compare the size of the how big the coral is. It is like it's as big as four basketball courts, and about five tennis courts. That's how big the coral is.
Wow.
Now, if we go on to the next slide, there's some facts about this coral that has been put out by the National Geographic Pristine Seas team. So there's some facts about this coral on the left-hand side, where it reads, so it's just one type of coral that has grown that big. And it is called, the coral is the Pavona clavus. That's the type of coral. So if you see the photo on the right, you see the type of coral. It's just like, polyps that just been something that just pops up, but they're actually hard kind of coral, like stones, and it's more or less just looks like a sculpture that has been made from concrete. It looks all the same. So it is about 34 meters wide and 29 meters long. Sorry, 32 meters long. And this is 3 times bigger than the recent one that was discovered in American Samoa. So the previous one was in American Samoa, and it only has a diameter of 29 meters. But this one, it's more. It's 34 meters wide. That's more or less just like the diameter of the coral. 32 meters long, and is about 5.5 meters high. So if you look at the photo at the bottom, on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you will see that bulge of the big, gigantic coral. You will see there's a diver on top of it, and you can just sort of like, see how big it is, comparative to what I was saying. So it is bigger than a blue whale. So if you look at the information on your left-hand side, that there's a picture of a whale there. That's how big a whale is, about 29 meters, but that coral is about 34 meters wide. And so that's what it is. And then Solomon Islands, it wasn't sort of like a surprise, because Solomon Islands has the second highest coral diversity on the planet. And with this discovery, it has sort of like suddenly put Solomon Islands a little bit way up. Now it has the biggest coral on the planet. If I recently, after looking at satellite photos, the scientists, they informed me that I think there are 2 other big corals, mega corals like this one, on the island. And actually one is just sort of like just 100 meters apart from the one that they discovered. And as I was looking at the island from using the satellite image, I saw there's another one on the other side of the island. So we probably may have about 3 of these mega corals on the island.
Wow.
So that is just some facts about this coral. And so it was something that is incredible. And we don't know where we could probably find anything else, similar thing like this, probably within the coral triangle, or maybe elsewhere in some other parts of the world. But for now, it's right within our waters.
Wow.
So can we go to the next slide, please? So I think on the next slide, you'll see how global this thing has become. International media. It's on BBC, it's on CBS, it's on CNN, it's on ABC, NBC, and even you can see it's on the Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times in the US. So this thing has taken the globe by storm. And this is the first of its kind, this kind of publicity about the country that has gone so viral and so wide and global in a very short time. And it's not only us, the people who sort of like they found the coral where they found the coral, but the country itself is sort of like still sort of trying to take in on board this discovery. And so in a way, it has sort of like starting to steer a lot of things happening, especially in terms of investment, in terms of tourism. Now the government is talking about, okay, let's now focus on this. And it's sort of like it's taking everyone by, there's a lot of excitement, in the country as well. And so you see the magnitude of this discovery is so huge for us,
Yeah.
and something that is, it will go on for a long way into the future.
Wow.
Okay, and in the next slide, the day that they found the coral, I was at the Three Sisters. I was with the Pristine Seas, National Geographic Pristine Seas team, and I was fortunate to see, the level of technology that they use.
Wow.
If it wasn't for them, we would have known we wouldn't have known anything about this coral, and the world would not have known anything about this coral.
Right.
They have the technology, they have the equipment, they have the expertise, and so we were fortunate that they were able to come to us. And so I was given the opportunity, and I think that was the best part of my time with the Pristine Seas team. Was when they put me in the submersible to go down underwater in this submarine, and they gave me this honor in fact, I was one of the top the first 7 Solomon Islanders to be in a submersible equipment, and to go underwater, and so I was given the honor. They say, you're the chief of the island, so we give you the honor to go down and see what's underneath the sea, in your environment. So that day that I went down, that was the day that they found the coral. I wasn't with the team who found the coral because those were the scientists. They were divers. They were using scuba diving to see the around the island. But I was just going down with the submersible to just with the submarine to see what's really down there, and we went down as deep as 217 meters.
Wow.
When we reached the ocean floor. So there's just a couple of videos. Taris, if you can play that for me, please.
Sure.
This is a place where anybody can rarely go to.
Wow.
Under the sea. And so that's when we reach the bottom of the ocean. You can see there's a school of
Yes.
jacks swimming around.
Wow.
There wasn't much to see down there, but it was very quiet. It was very still, and of course dark. And I've seen some kind of fish that I've never seen before, all sorts of different colors. I don't have the photos with me, but the scientists, they do have. And I think there's another one.
I'll play the
Yes. I hope. I don't know if you can play it, Tarishi.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Just to see what it was like.
Yeah, this is great. For those of you who are watching, there's Kalera, our Fijian sister, who was with us in the USP, all watching online. So Mbula Kalera, thank you for everybody watching in. So I'm going to share this particular video that Dennis sent me, so we can see what he saw. So thank you for that, Dennis, for allowing us to travel with you online. So let me share it again, and then we can watch it. And how did it feel? Was it the first time for you to go underwater like that?
Yes. And to go down that deep, 217 meters down, that is something that is definitely rare for anyone.
Exactly.
And to go down in a submersible, like a submarine, is something that is very rare. And so I was very fortunate to have that kind of
That's
experience.
a wonderful privilege. And did this take place last month, you said?
Yes, that was last month.
Wow.
And so the one that you see on the screen, I was actually looking up through the glass of the submersible and looking up to the top, and I can see a whole lot of fish swimming.
Wow.
It's
Let us-
sort of like it's beautiful.
Wow.
I was only able to send short videos. The long videos, I find I don't know.
It is really, really special. So, how did you feel sitting in that submarine?
It was funny. The day before, I was having all kinds of terrible thoughts. Uh, but then when I went down there, you know, it was just incredible seeing the life, underwater. And it's something that it's quite rare to go down to that kind of place, and just to see what it was like down underwater.
Wow, that is
I think
amazing.
it's an experience that I will never forget in my life.
Yes. How
But I
long
think
were
that
you there below in the submarine?
we were down there for 2 hours. And just I'm going to go on the 3rd and 4th of December. The ship is still here. I'm going to go on the ship again, and I'm going to go with a couple of our ministers. They will be going down in a submersible as well. That includes the Minister of Fisheries, the Minister of Environment, the Minister of Tourism. The Prime Minister went down the submersible last week. So the Prime Minister. And one thing that is also incredible about this discovery is starting to bring
This is
a lot of
awesome.
big names here. So we had Leonardo DiCaprio,
Hey,
a
you know
movie
what,
actor.
Leonardo, the
Leonardo
Fiji
was
so
here.
angry with him, but I know you guys are happy with him.
Yes. Well, he came here. I think there was some that the media didn't put anything out. Everyone that nobody was talking about it, but people were actually they know that he was here through social media. I
Right.
think they were just trying to keep a low profile of his coming here. So even the National Geographic team didn't say anything about it. They actually informed me in secret as well. They said, don't tell anyone that Leonardo is here, and also the Prince Albert of Monaco was also here. So Leonardo is one of the sponsors of the Pristine Seas expedition, and Prince Albert of Monaco was the chairman of the Pristine Seas. So both of them were here, and they went to some of the islands close by, doing diving and probably seeing the world, the islands around the Russell Islands that's close to here.
Wow.
So yes, I just got a call yesterday from one of the travel agents that some other high-profile people they want to come as well to see the coral, and a lot of bookings there. People are, just want to come and dive and see the coral. So there's a lot of things happening anyway now.
That is awesome. I would love to come and visit as well. But let's watch the second video. Is that okay?
Yes, please. Yes, please do. So I think the one that you see on the screen is my favorite because there's this, big jack. He was just like curious about what is this thing doing down here. And he was
Yeah, it's
sort of
not
like down and looking
frozen.
down at us.
Looking at us.
Yeah.
Rainfall is 18.
So close.
Yeah, it's coming really close. What a huge.
Yeah, it's not frozen.
It's looking at us.
Rainfall is 18.
Okay, that's the pilot talking.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was an incredible. I think there's one thing that they also I went down with the camera person of the National Geographic team film crew
Mhm.
with the pilot, and we did an interview down at the bottom of the ocean. So it was quite a rare place to have an interview, but we did an interview down there. So I think the film will be premiered here next year when it is ready. It will premiere here in Solomon Islands before it is released to the world to see. It's a
Isn't that
doc
amazing?
about
I'm
the
sure you'll when people will ask you in 20 years or 30 years from now, that'll be one of the rare moments, yeah, being interviewed under the sea.
Yes, certainly, yes, very much. All right, so I think apart
Another
from
one?
if we move on, oh yeah, that's another one. This is a school of jack fish swimming around.
So at least we see what you saw, in under the ocean.
Yes.
Ah,
A unicorn.
So it's sort of like the sand
Some
few
of the
rocks.
unicorn are still
There's
unicorn.
some bit of
No, they don't have the
landscape underwater. We climbed a little bit
unicorn
and we
fish.
go down a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
the one that was swimming up.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's another one right here.
This is.
So that one I took those videos myself.
I see. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so I
Okay,
will
can
go.
we move on?
Sure, I can go back to the other. Okay, let me put it up. Other
Yes, I
slide.
guess if anyone wishes to ask any questions, yeah, can do
Yes.
so. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, hold on. Let me unshare and
So the island, now I'll be talking about the island. The Three Sisters Islands they're like they're very cultural. We have our own stories about the islands. The three islands they're like in the olden days they're all our old people they say they are paradise. That's where our people go to after life. So that's where the ancestral spirits they dwell. Our people who have long gone before us, they come and live there after life. So that's where our paradise is,
Mm.
so to speak. So it's very cultural, and there are some cultural practices that are still held on the island, and one of them is the crocodile calling. And so our people, we talk to crocodiles. We still talk to them, and we have the culture of calling them. And when we call them, we call to eat them. That's the practice in the past. So our people, they used to term the crocodiles as they're the pigs of the island. They're the protein for the feasts. That's the meat for any traditional feast that we hold in the past on these three islands. So when we call the crocodiles, uh, anybody can call a crocodile. Now, what will happen is when we call, if it doesn't respond or they don't respond, that means they don't like you. Something is not right. So they'll will ask someone else to call. And when they respond, that means that whoever they respond to, they're willing to or they like that person. So, and when we call the crocodiles for the three islands, it's a little bit different. So what happens is that they come up, or that particular crocodile comes up, and then we'll insert a rope or something like a noose around its mouth. And if you see in the picture, you see that there's a string, sort of like a rope that is being tied at the front, at the mouth, on the mouth of the crocodile. And then the next thing we do is we ask the crocodile to roll. It will roll on the rope in the water. And in that process, it is tying itself. Symbolically, it's saying, here I am, I'm giving myself to you. And it rolls, when it reaches the tail, then the guys comes and as you see on the picture on the right, they lift up the crocodile. Now, something that is quite funny in a sense, not funny, but it's quite unbelievable about the island is that we say things the opposite way. So, and when we say that something is strong, we say it's not strong. When there's plenty of things, we don't say it's plenty. We say there's nothing there. Because if you don't say the opposite, then you will get the opposite results. So, for example, if you go to fish and you see a lot of fish and you say, oh, we got a lot of fish, you will eventually catch no fish. If you throw a fishing line and you feel there's a tug on the line, there's a fish, it feels like a big one. Don't say it's a big fish. Just say, oh, this is just a small one. If you say a big fish, when you pull it in, it will be a small one. So for the crocodile, when we call the crocodile, the string that we use must not be a very strong string. It will be something that is breakable. So if you look at a string, it is something that is just a bush vine, easily breakable. And if you compare that to the strength of a crocodile, it's a very strong reptile. It can whip through anything. It can break anything. But you see that the string is not even struggling. And you see the guys, they're holding the crocodile on the right-hand side. The arms are loose. The tail is loose. This is a live crocodile. And if it's something that is wild, it will suddenly kick all these men off, all these boys off. But this is how things are on the island. It's something that is cultural. So this one, the reptile just comes, they hold it, and then it rolls itself, and then they carry it and they go away. Now, since we are doing conservation on the islands, we don't kill the crocodiles. Now we do it just for demonstration, and we show it to our visitors. Whoever wants to see the crocodile calling, that's what we do. And I think those photos that you see in the slide, it was taken when a journalist from Fiji came to the island. She was working for the Island Business magazine. She came, and then she wanted to see the crocodile calling. So that's my brothers and my uncles are the ones you see there. So they called the crocodile, and they held it up for her to take photos and all that. And the National Geographic team that recently came, we also did the same for them. So I think it will be in the film that they will release next year. So that is something about the island. So the island is very cultural, and one thing that it's sort of like it's special about it. It's sort of like when it welcomes you, you will feel it that it welcomes you. When it doesn't like you, it will do something that you will go away. And so, like, I went down the submersible. We don't know that there's something incredible down there. We don't know anything. The moment I went down, and those guys, they found this big, huge coral. When we started conservation, we didn't expect anything like this to happen, that they're going to find something that it will go global, will take the world by storm, and it eventually bring some very high-profile people to the country. We don't know anything about this. But then we felt that the island has given back to us after what we have been trying so far to protect it, to preserve it. It has given back to us. So I think that's just one thing. But I think there are other some interesting things on the island as well, apart from the talking the opposite way and the crocodile calling. It has some other things. We have this endemic flying fox bat that is on the island. They live in the mangroves of the island. There's about thousands of them, and they always take off every 6 o'clock. They go onto the main line to eat, and early in the morning they fly back to the island and sleep. So those are some of the few things that if you come to the island, you will be able to see. But I think taking back on the course of how we come to conserve the island, I think it goes back to the history, which is you see on the screen. So my great-grandfather, his name is Douglas, sold the island to the Lever Brothers Company. It's a British company back in 1912. And then from then on, the Lever Brothers Company, they look after the island. So the island, they run plantations, this company, and livestock. So they grew coconuts, and also they put cows on the island. And so they ran this island. They control and they live on the island and they work on the island since 1912 until after Solomon Islands gained independence in 1978. And after that, the Lever Brothers Company left, and my dad and his brothers went back to the government after it became an alienated land, and they asked the government to hand over the land back to us. So we got the land back in 1990 as a fixed-term estate for the moment, and that's when we sort of like we came back as resource owners and as customary owners of the island. Now, since 1990, for the next 10 years until 2000, nobody was living on the island. As I mentioned, my whole family was living on a much bigger island on Ulawa, that is about 50 kilometers away from Three Sisters. The island is close to the island of Malaita. If you go on the map, you will see that. And so we just came sort of like my uncles and my dad, they just came seldomly just to do copra fishing, and they go back again, but they don't live on the island. Until 2000, between 2000 and 2008, people started coming to the island. Mostly they were just fishermen. So when they come and fish, they sort of like they go camping. and they stay a couple of days, and those days they extended to weeks, and then the weeks they extended to months, and then they started building from the camps. They start building sort of like semi-permanent houses using local materials, and then their families came, and so people they started living there on the island illegally. So from 2005 to 2008, my dad tried to get those people off the island, but those people they didn't just listen. So they stayed on, and the population started to grow. And so what he did was he went to the courts. So he tried to remove those people by through legal means. So he went to the courts, and in 2009, the High Court of Solomon Islands, they gave an order for those people to illegal settlers to move from the island, and which they still didn't take heed of the call and the order. And so my dad went further, and he applied for an eviction order from the court. And then in 2010, the police actually came and then partially forcibly removed those people from the island, and that's when we came in. So in the next couple of slides, you will see that in 2009, when this is the first time I went back to the island. The first time I went to the island was back in 1994, 1991. I was still in high school. So I went with my uncles to do copra on the island. And at the time, I can say that the island was sort of like in its natural state, up to the brim in terms of the marine environment and the natural resources that it has on the island. The fish, you don't need to fish for how many hours. Fish is sort of like you just go for a couple of half an hour, you come back with a load full basket full of fish. But then when I went back in 2009, that was the state that you see on the screen. All the clamshells were taken off from the reefs. They burned the crocodile swamp where the crocs they used to live. They burned the swamp. They actually killed the crocodiles too, because this reptile, they are cultural. So they call them. So when they come, they just indiscriminately they just kill the crocodiles for the meat, and I think some were selling the skins too for leather. And then they cut down the trees to make gardens, and also they clear the land, the mangroves. They also cut down the mangroves, and you see on the right hand side, the bottom right hand side, there's a big village. By the time we got there, so there's a lot of people staying there now, and the state of the island was really in a very bad state, sad state, I would say. And that's what that sort of like turned our hearts to turn into conservation when the people they move out. We felt sorry for the island. And so that's why we came up with this conservation initiative. If you go to the next slide, those were on the rescue mission to get, the island back. But, as a chief, I have to do two things according to protocols. I don't go start chasing people with a stick. I have to go and talk to the communities that were there, the people that were there, and telling them about the rights, the legal ownership of the island, and to inform them why it's important that they need to move out. And of course, that time I start advocating about conservation. And so that was in 2009. I was going about the communities, not only on Malaulalo Island, but the neighboring islands as well, the bigger one where there's a much larger community staying there. So that's on that one. And then still they haven't moved out. So after my dad took the eviction order into the 2010, then the police actually came and got these people off the island. And so after all these people left, that's when we settled down, and then we say, okay, look, let's start the conservation efforts. We need to get the island back to its original state before we start enjoying its resources again. And so in the next slide, you see we started the Malaulalo Community Conservation Initiative. And this initiative, I use my traditional authority as the traditional chief to place the conservation order. that not to harvest the island. And so you see the one on the left, this hawksbill turtle. I got it. I went to the neighboring island and they put it in a. I think they want to sort of like kill it. And probably just let it grow and then they'll probably eat it later. I went and asked them to release the turtle. So I gave them some money and they gave me the turtle and I put it back into the sea. So we started this conservation and since 2010 up until now. I think generally I would say that we encounter a lot of challenges. One is that our people, they depend very much on the resources in the sea for livelihood, so for daily sustenance. And so it's quite difficult to, say people don't stop, go and fish. Actually, we stop a certain portion of the marine of the island. And then we only allow certain type of fishing. You can only fish using strings and bamboos, but no diving, no use of nets or no dynamite fishing. So those are the things that we sort of like the regulations that we put on the island. But it was quite difficult. Sometimes people still come at night to dive at night while we're sleeping. So it's sort of like taken, and the provincial government sort of like is not really supportive too. So we decided that I think let's go with the government. Let's acquire some legal support from the government to help us strengthen this conservation initiative. So that's when we went to see the Ministry of Environment for support. But we were not alone. In the next slide, you will see that we have some support from overseas, from some international foundations who will help us in this conservation initiative. When we started off in 2010, we said, no, I think let's establish something more formally. So in 2014, we established the Malaulala Conservation and Tourism Association. It's a charitable establishment under Act. And so after we established the association, and we started seeking funding assistance from foundations, and so we have in 2015, we have support from the Ruford Foundation in England, and they supported us with the conservation of hawksbill turtle because we saw some turtles coming up there. So we asked them to assist us, and they assisted us with logistics, and they provided us with an OBM that can help us to move around the island and ensure that check the total sites and all that. And then in 2019, we have support from the Pacific Conservation Development Trust that was based in New Zealand. And for them, they supported us in terms of cleaning the beach area because the island was sort of like staying right in the way of the main currents flowing from the mainland and of course from elsewhere outside the country. So we have bottles and we have sticks and logs and everything that comes ashore, and they prevented sort of like they come to where the turtles are laying the eggs. So we asked them to support us to help us clean the beach up and ensure that the place is free for the turtles to come and lay eggs. And so they help us with the cleanup of the beach areas. And then in 2020, I think the Wade Foundation foundation based in the US, they help us with some support. This one is to come up with a conservation. We were now struggling to get the marine protected area status from the government. And so to help us come up with a biodiversity survey of the island and to come up with a management plan. And so that's the Wade Foundation. And together we work with the Ministry of Environment and Conservation. Because of COVID-19, we deferred the program until 2023, when there was a marine biodiversity survey that was carried out by the Ministry of Environment and Conservation in Solomon Islands. And so those were some of our partners that have been helping us with the conservation initiative for the conservation of Malaulalo Island. In the next slide, yes, so you can see that's my family standing there on the ship. Argo, it's called Argo. That's the ship that has carried out the expedition to Three Sisters Islands. um, I asked them if my family could come and take a visit on board the ship. But I think we were so thankful to the National Geographic Pristine Seas. I think they have finally, break the egg, the shell, and it has come out. This great global discovery has come out onto the global scene, and I think with this discovery, uh, we are very confident that there will now be more support coming towards this conservation initiative on the island. And also not only that, but probably help in terms of getting some benefits to the community in terms of tourism. And things are getting a lot more positive from this, especially from the government as well. They now see that this is a potential area for tourism development as well. But at the same time, we are also cautious of the impacts that it may probably bring to the environment, and especially on this particular natural finding, this great coral. Dr. Teresa and those who are with us on this, I think that's basically my story. I think I've nearly taken the whole time, but it was okay because the meeting that was supposed to be at 1 p.m., they deferred it to tomorrow. So I think that's okay. We can have some time.
Oh,
Thank you, Tomas.
that is wonderful. Wow. Can we all put our hands together to thank Dennis Marita? Thank you so much, Dennis, for being a great speaker and to share the work that you've been doing back in the Solomon Islands, and particularly where your tribe is, yeah, your islands in the Makira area. So now I will open it up to our audience, both online and also in the Zoom room, for any questions for Dennis. Okay, Jane, Naka.
Good afternoon from Port Vila. Thank you very much, Dennis, for this very insightful information, story behind this phenomenon that we were just told of. Well, the world was just told of. Thank you, Dr. Tarisi, also for this session. My question is this coral. Is there any cultural name for the coral? Did people, your people know of this coral, or is it just a discovery that everyone is now getting to know about? Thank you.
Thank you, Jane, for this question. Actually, there is no specific names. There's no specific name for the coral. All this time, like it was sort of like just part of the reef that was just around the island. Though certain sections of the islands they have names, but not basically to the specific coral. But now we are thinking of giving it a name. And the presidencies, they also came back to us and said, I think you guys, the community has the honor to name the coral. So we were thinking of naming the coral Laloasi. Laloasi means, Lalo means garden. Asi means the sea. So garden in the sea. That's how we saw the coral. It's like a garden because that's the source of food from the sea. When we started conservation in 2010, a couple of years later, in 2012 and 13, suddenly everything came back all of a sudden. Within 2-3 years, everything came back. When we stopped fishing and everything, when the people left, we stopped for only 2 years. Things came back all of a sudden. We saw the sharks, we saw the stingrays, we saw the turtles. We were so surprised. We said, where the hell are all these things they come from? Where have been they staying all this time? But after they discovered the coral, then we realized that that's the source. That's the source of the marine environment of everything that we have on the island. So that's why we would like to call it Sea Garden, the garden of the sea. And the island itself, Malaulalo, it is Garden Island. Malau means island, Lalo means garden. So we call it Laloasi means garden of the sea, while we also have the garden on the island itself. So it's all garden around the island and in the sea.
What a perfect name.
Thank you.
Wonderful question there, Jane. Thank you so much, Dennis, for that wonderful response and the privilege you now have to have your people to give a name to this coral. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jane. Dr. Anna? Or Angela?
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I was curious about the tourism. Are you concerned about possible impacts that's going to have on your communities and how will you deal with that?
Yes, thank you very much, Angela, for the question. Yes, we are cautious about that. We've been talking to the tourism people last week because already they're getting sudden interest in us as well. And so I said, look, you know, where the boats they used to come shore, that's where the corals are. So if we put like a jetty there and we have, you know, boats coming in and there's petrol going into the ocean, and who knows, someone may throw an anchor into the sea and may probably damage what that is also there under. And so I told the tourism people that in as much as we need tourism on the island, we have to control it and we have to, you know, minimize people coming onto the island. And so we are only identifying sort of like a niche market for in terms of tourism. And I said, as far as the coral is concerned, there are certain people that are interested to come. So they may be researchers or marine biologists, students, and probably those are the only people that will probably come to the island to have, you know, a direct contact with the coral and with what the surrounding, especially in the marine environment. But most people who wish to come, probably they just come for a day and they go back. And we do not wish to put huge accommodation, whatever, on the island. That is why for ourselves, our people don't come and live on the island. We ask everyone to stay back on the mainland and only one family to stay on the island to look after the island. They're sort of like they're like rangers, just to look after the island. So we would like to maintain the same. And if people would like to come, it's just to come and, you know, a day off, see things, and then they go back. Because putting a lot more accommodation on the island will certainly have an impact on the environment in terms of sanitation, in terms of waste, and all of these things. But certainly we'll be working with the Ministry of Environment Conservation, with the tourism people to see what kind of tourism would be best fitting to suit the environment on the island, as well as the conservation aspect of what we are trying to do for the island. But certainly tourism would be important in the sense that on the long run, on the sustainability of the conservation, we need some kind of income to sustain, let's say, the ranger program for the island. So that's one avenue we are looking at getting revenue to support the ranger program or the conservation program on the island.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Angela. That's a really good question. I have one that follows on from Angela's question, Dennis, and also connects to your answer. Have you thought about maybe with the finance that comes in or the Solomon Island government to provide more scholarships, educational scholarships for younger Solomon Islanders to maybe do their studies in conservation or maybe come back in the field of being rangers? And roles like that?
Yes, I think that's something that will certainly, take consideration as with this kind of discovery and with this kind of initiatives coming up. Yes, certainly. We have a School of Environment here at the Solomon Islands National University. And conservation is definitely one component of that program. And I think, but particularly for our people who are now directly involved, we would ask the government to help support us in this regard in terms of human capacity, and taking into account that a lot of our people who will be engaged in this program are not, so-called well-educated in a sense. Some sort of like, they're just normal village people. Uh, and of course, there will be training programs that will be held to support this conservation programs, and especially in terms of setting up a ranger system. We already have even, National Geographic presidencies. They also indicated support in assisting us with the establishment of a ranger program, giving us the support and the logistics. And the national government through the Ministry of Environment and Conservation has also indicated support. And now they're working on the management plan for the marine protected areas status for the island. But certainly, I think, with this, the pristine seas, they have told the government that there needs to be a lot more conservation work in Solomon Islands, because a lot of the reefs and the marine ecosystems are not in a good state. They're not in good health because of overharvesting, and also because of sentiments coming from the bigger islands, from logging, from mining. So there needs to be a lot of work needs to be done. And so that's something where I think the government will certainly see to expanding its support to capacitate the country to help, deal with this issue, and at the same time with help with conservation.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dennis, for considering those who are based in the islands, or those who are based in the village, and also considering those who may pursue more academic, high academic studies. So that's a lovely way to kind of balance it up. I'm just really excited, to hear how all those animals, how those fishes came back after you did all the conservation work. How did the local community respond to that?
So there's a little bit. Can you repeat the question, please? I think the
Was it
network is a little.
breaking? Okay.
Yeah.
When you mentioned that the fish, the sharks, the turtles, like they all came back after you started the conservation work, what was the response from the local community?
I think they were quite surprised too, the same as me. But that reinforces their belief that the island is a living being, that the island is alive. If we respect it, if we look after it, it will bring back to us. And so sort of like it helps to even further strengthen the relationship between ourselves and the island itself. And so that's also one thing that sort of like it sort of like it proves to the people that conservation does work. It takes time, but not much time. If you give it, the due, diligence to help it rejuvenate itself in its own way, then it will do its part, and it will give back to you in its own way and at its own time.
This is wonderful. And I think, Dennis, I think with our listeners, those who are connecting online and those who are in the Zoom room, we can, kind of see that as humans, we tend to be very impatient, but the world, in this case, the flora and the fauna, they have their own timetable that they follow. And it's just our due diligence to, fulfill the needs of these animals, to prepare a beautiful home, for them to live in. So that must be amazing. I can just feel the excitement, within the community when they start to see all these, fishes all coming back. That is amazing. So conservation. So for those of you who are listening, who may be, doubting some conservation work that happens around the world, this is a good example to know that it does work. Yeah, it does work. That if we contribute positively to this world, the world, our environment will respond back positively. Wow, that's wonderful. Lisa, thank you so much, Dennis, Dr. Anna, any comments for Dr. Dennis?
Hi, thank you so much, Dr. Dennis, for your presentation. I was very excited with the largest choral. And, certainly you're right about doing a lot of work to bring back the ecosystems of Solomon Islands. I was wondering if you have programs for children, because I think we have to start them young, right? Are you going to go do it through schools or through museums? I'm just wondering how we can get them involved as young as possible.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anna, for the question. I'm an artist by profession. I'm a theater artist. And my wife is also a theater artist, but she's a writer. And she has written some children's publications, some children's work. And after the choral, we were thinking of, okay, let's do some children's book about the choral. And so that's one thing that we are planning to do, and she's going to work on. In terms of awareness and advocacy, we can be able to do we are planning to go this Christmas home and start talking to our people about this coral and about conservation, reinforcing and, and also at the same time, bringing them much more closer together. So I think for the children, that's one important area, which is very important. And already I got there are a couple of requests from some schools just to go and talk about the coral. And so in terms of gauging the children's interest in the environment, I think this could be a really great start. I'm planning to go and see the Ministry of Environment and Conservation, because they have a radio program. If I can be able to be part of the radio program, just to talk about the coral and about conservation. Yes, so I think there are a lot of avenues which we can be able to use. But I think, to me, actually speaking in person to schools and through educational materials like books, and those are more effective ways of reaching the younger population. And I think they are the most important group of people that we get to them, because they are the future conservationists and people who will be looking after the environment in the future. So yes, so we're planning some things at this stage, but things are just starting off, and we'll be looking at those areas and how we go forward in terms of, and we see that these are the other part of the process. Conservation is one, but education is also important, because you have to carry these two along. You have to balance it, because otherwise you're conserving and then people are not educated, then you're fighting against sort of like more or less it's a cycle that will never end, because you conserve and people keep on ripping things off. And it's important that we get this to the younger generation now. That will make it a lot more easier after us. When our children come to take on this responsibility, it will be much easier for them, because the younger ones, their age, are sort of like aware of this and will be helping to support the conservation initiatives.
And just a follow-up, in some countries, they're actually doing some sort of science correspondence from young people, because they know how to use social media, and so they can report, and you can just give them a structure. I think that's been effective in some countries. So.
Yes, certainly. Yes, certainly, Doctor. Yeah, using digital platforms. We're in the 21st century, of course, so we will see how best we can be able to use these platforms and these avenues. A lot of kids, even my kids, sometimes I talk about, stop, you guys are still in school, stop using mobile phones. It will disturb you. But we cannot say much, because that's the world that we are in now. They're born into this kind of this level of civilization. So how best the only thing we can do is, how best we can turn that into something that is useful to them in terms of learning. So yes, using of digital platforms is something that we'll certainly consider. It's good that this is a global discovery, and I'm sure there are people out there in the world would be willing to help us support educating our people about the environment.
Wow, that is amazing, man. I can't wait to maybe hear part two of this talk series, Dennis. Look forward to 2025, and maybe we can invite you back again, and you can update all of us as to what is happening on the ground. Because I'm sure with all the media attention that is there right now, there's a whole excitement. And even for me, reading it from here in California, I can just feel the excitement on the ground, and that's why when the invitation came to you and you were willing to come on board, I was so excited because you were talking about this coral right when everyone is talking about it too. So thank you so much, Dennis, for enlightening us, and I know there will be a whole lot of more support that will come to your government. Given that a lot of these high-profile people are there and many more to come, and I know this is the spotlight for the Solomon Islands, and you all deserve it. So, Dennis, to conclude our Talanote today, I'll give it back to you for any last comments, any words of encouragement for our listeners who are joining in online, and also for those of us in this recording. Vinaka, Dennis.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Firstly, I would like to thank you, Dr. Tarisi, for this great opportunity to, provide me an avenue for me to talk about this great global discovery. I've been interviewed by so many people in the recent days, starting with National Geographic, and there's been some interviews online and in person. But it's an exciting thing to talk about, and I think it's good to talk about such kind of discoveries, positive stories that will help not only our people but our environment as well. So thank you to Mas, Dr. Tarisi, for giving me this opportunity, and also thank you to also those who have joined us, Dr. Angela and Dr. Anna, and also Jane from Vanuatu. Thank you to Mas for you guys to join us in this conversation. I think I would just like to say that this global discovery is not only for the people of Malaulalo Island, for my people of Po'onapina tribe, not only for Solomon Islands, but it's all for all of us, for the Pacific, for the world at large. This great coral is what the scientists that they see as the beacon of hope, that they still hope for the planet. If we only take time to conserve and preserve parts of our environment, so that they have time to rejuvenate, so that they can in turn help support ourselves and our future generations. So I think this is a great news for the world, that there's still hope, that despite all these years, centuries of challenges that the world has gone through, this coral has persevered all through this generation. It was said that it existed for more than 300 years, between 300 to 500 years. And within this time, it has persevered all through this different change of whatever that is happening in world history, even up to climate change that we are experiencing today. This coral has persevered. Gives us the hope for the future, that we must also do the same. We must persevere through whatever challenges that we go through, and being resilient in whatever way we can, so that we don't lose hope when we come in front of adversity, in front of problems and challenges. But we must always look to the future and have hope that this goodness coming, that we'll still be fine. Only if we work together, we are considerate towards ourselves and the environment, things will be better for us in the future and for our children. I think I have no more. Thank you too much.
Vinaka Wakalevu, Dennis, for those beautiful words, and that brings our webinar to a close, and acknowledging everybody for being here. Dr. Anna connecting in from New York, Angela connecting in from the state of Washington, and Jane connecting in from Vanuatu, and all our listeners here connecting in from different parts of the Pacific. So, Vinaka Makile, for those of you joining in online, we just want to say thank you for joining Dennis today to celebrate this huge achievement and the finding of this amazing standalone coral, the largest in the world, found in the Solomon Islands. So, Dennis, all the very best to you and your team, and all the very best in the holidays that are coming around the corner. And we look forward to touch base again in 2025. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tomas.
Vinaka.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Anna. Thank you, Jane. Thank you,
Thank
Angela.
you,
Take care, Mother. Bye.
Bye.
Wow. That is wonderful. Yeah? So thank you again for everybody for the last an hour or so that we've been connected online on Zoom. So I will play a song that Dennis asked me to play initially, but I didn't see his message on time. So I have the song here. It's called Kekene Milo Milo by Shazi. So I will play this song to conclude our Talano session tonight or today. And this is a song from the Solomon Islands.
Te
Dennis. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful song from the Solomon Islands, a lovely song to end our Talano session for today. That's my second webinar. Last week we were in Vanuatu. Today we are in the Solomon Islands, and hopefully next week we will be traveling to Papua New Guinea, and then the following week will be Fiji and New Caledonia. And those will be our Wednesday webinars here in the US, and Thursday on your side of the deadline in Fiji and the Solomon Islands. And the rest of the Pacific will be Thursday. Yeah, so Wednesday for us and Thursday for you. Take care, everybody. And again, thanking Mr. Dennis Marita, Director for Culture from the Ministry of Tourism and Culture for the government of the Solomon Islands, who was with us to share with us this wonderful finding of the largest standalone coral in the world. Vinaka Makalevu, Dennis, Vinaka Makalevu to your team and your family and tribe in Makira in the Solomon Islands. From Los Angeles in California, sending lots of love from the California State University, Nisamba the Mother.